Working now tomorrow in Louvre, in Paris.
What are you going to do there?
I choose for the wing for the École du Nord. It's the Flemish masters, the Dutch masters, and a part of the German masters. And I did a year ago a big exhibition here in Antwerp, and because my influence, I steal in a sense a lot, and I'm still reading, and I've get copies from big masters like Van der Goes, Van Eyck, Van Eyck, Rubens, Bruegel, Bosch. For me, they're fantastic masters, really. So, in a sense, in the Louvre, I'm going to make a kind of rite de passage, I would say, in 40 spaces, with sculptures of me, installations, drawings, films, who are going to be in relation with the paintings I'm choosing from the collection of the Louvre. For example, in the Rembrandt space, I will use some Rembrandt paintings. For example, there's a very famous painting of an animal is cut open. And this painting was an inspiration source for a work I made 15 years ago, a meat piece with Scarabaeus. So this room I will turn around as a kind of meat market with all my meat works inside. So these kind of installations and relationships with my work, and some painters who inspired me in thinking about visual arts, in the concepts, in the research, the imagination, because these old masters are for me, in a sense, very, very contemporary at the same time.
Η αναμενόμενη συνάντηση με τον Jan Fabre στο Λούβρο έφτασε. Είμαστε εδώ και πρέπει να σας πω ότι μέσα στα τόσα χρόνια που επισκέπτομαι εκθέσεις και στο Λούβρο και σε μικρότερα και σε μεγαλύτερα μουσεία, σύγχρονων ή όχι καλλιτεχνών, είναι η πρώτη φορά που αισθάνομαι μια τέτοια συγκίνηση. Θα ήθελα να τη μοιραστούμε όσο μπορούμε. Είναι κοντά μου ο Jan Fabre και θα μιλήσουμε για αυτή τη μεγάλη του έκθεση μέσα στο Λούβρο, όπου στην αίθουσα της φλαμανδικής και γερμανικής ζωγραφικής έχει εγκαταστήσει εξαιρετικά μερικά παλιότερα και μερικά νεότερα έργα του. Ο τίτλος όλης της έκθεσης είναι ο Άγγελος της Μεταμόρφωσης. Θα τον καλησπερίσω. Μείνετε μαζί μας την επόμενη ώρα. Μια βόλτα στο Λούβρο, σπάνια ευκαιρία πραγματικά. Good evening.
Okay.
Congratulations on this work.
Okay.
I just told to people that my emotions are big and very strong with this. Let's start with the title.
I see the metamorphosis as something that doesn't stand still. It's constantly in movement. And I'm a type of artist who doesn't stand still. I'm in movement. You get artists to make already 30 years the same thing. For example, Daniel Burin from France, he makes 30 stripes. I'm an artist always changing. The angel, why the angel? Because I see the angel as a messenger. I see the angel as a Lucifer. I see the angel also as a kind of model, a thinking model. And the fil rouge of the exhibition is, in a sense, the celebration of life and death through metamorphosis.
The whole body of your work in this installation in Louvre, and I think that you've put a very specific idea in this show, which is man in life, and we have man as dead, man in the idea of vanitas, man in the idea of madness, man in the idea of warrior, of fighter. Which is the idea behind the way that you've chosen the works that you will install in front of these big masters, which is academical, very well known, and that we now we have a new look at them. It's a refreshing look at the old pieces.
Oh, lady, it's a long preparation. I was 3 years busy with this. We're 50 times in these spaces, day and night, walking around. I made different mental dramaturgies, projects on paper. To make it simple, and I moved Rembrandts, and I moved some paintings from Rembrandt. It takes 4 months to talk about. It takes 15 people who come in, who move the painting from Rembrandt. One who takes off, one, you understand? It's a very slow process.
This is already a performance.
Yeah, it's an incredible performance. I mean, this different people, organizations, inside of the Louvre, outside of the Louvre, the distance between the works, the insurance companies, the pompiers, because here in this section a lot of pompiers are living. So everything was important.
For me, Jan Fabre is really the kind of artist who deserves the Louvre. So I go on in French, excuse me. Parce que le côté pluridisciplinaire de son travail, puisqu'il touche à la fois à la danse, à la musique, au cinéma, aux arts plastiques, au dessin, évidemment est très intéressant. Et son univers, ce qu'il représente comme univers universel, mais en même temps très enraciné, je dirais, dans une culture flamande, sont les raisons pour lesquelles je l'ai invité au Louvre, mais je l'ai invité dans le département de la peinture flamande. Parce qu'il me semble que j'avais déjà vu à Anvers l'année dernière une exposition qui était faite au musée des Beaux-Arts. Il avait fait dialoguer justement des œuvres de lui avec des grandes œuvres de la peinture ancienne. Et c'est ce genre d'expérience que je voudrais faire au Louvre. Nous pourrons non seulement l'inviter à exposer dans le département de peinture, mais également à faire une performance, une danse et un programme de cinéma à l'auditorium. Donc c'est vraiment une invitation très complète qui tâchera de rendre compte de la pluralité de son travail.
In a sense, by working here a lot, I start, let us say, I knew all the works from the books, but being here, being confronted daily, slowly I start choosing the works who I would be confronted, you understand? So it was a slow process. And of course it depends. For example, this installation here, it was with the curators a debate for 3 months, because I moved everything out. I asked Horst, he's from the Utrecht school, there, this painting I wanted, this kind of woman with her breasts, this kind of sexuality, the music, because music and the sexuality guides, also celebrates the dead, in a sense, for this Vanitas. So, but only for this room, it was 2 months planning, 2 months talking with the curators, because every space here has its own curator, even especially for Rembrandt, for Vermeer, for the 15th century, 16th and 17th century. So, and they were not, sometimes they're very conservative. They think they're bishops in a big cathedral, you understand?
Of course I do. Jan, I remember when we were last year together and we were discussing about your work. You were telling me about your family, your parents, and we were telling about their nations. I mean, we were discussing about language and vision, picture and language, your mother and your father, Flemish and French. And now here you are composing all this history, all this personal story. But I have to tell you that as contemporary artist, you've put other elements too, except your personal, individual things.
I don't want to be a spokesman of my generation. I don't think so. Because at the same time, I feel very not contemporary. What maybe me connects with some other artists, people like Marina Abramovic, Thierry Cordier, Luc Tuymans, Rob Scholte, maybe what me connects is the individuality who believes in the force of beauty. I think that connects me with some colleagues, artists, who I respect. And I think what I also believe in, that I'm a fighter, a warrior for a good cause, towards an empathy towards life, and also towards an empathy towards beauty. Beauty in that sense, that beauty is always on the good side of life.
Reading the text, we find some very nice thoughts about the old paintings and the contemporary man. Tell me about this element that I know that you work a lot, texts.
What I did for all the curators, I wrote down a kind of dramaturgy, a mental dramaturgy for every space. So, because what we start noticing to work here, that some curators, they didn't know good the difference between Le Pays-Bas and Le Flamand. Oh. So they made a lot of mistakes. I had really showed them, this is really a Flemish painter, that's a Dutch painter. There is a German section, they thought it was Germans, but from the Antwerp school, because I recognized the painting style. So what I did for them on paper is really making all the consiliences between the relationship. For example, I made a complete dramaturgy from the peacock in all the paintings. I made a dramaturgy from all the pigeons. When my installation with the pigeons comes, after that there are no paintings anymore with pigeons. When my installation comes with the peacock, there are no peacocks coming on the paintings anymore. So I wrote down everything, all the links, and explained them. So, because I like to do that, to not out of an academical sense, but much more at the sense of imagination. The big difference, they call du Nord, and the French, for example, the French and Italian painting is a glorification of power. With the Flemish, you see, it's all about imagination that goes. And then you see the Calvinistic painting, it's much more goes this. It's a big difference, because you see the Catholic, the Calvinistic, we Catholics, in the evening we close the curtains, we do feast, we have sex, next day we go to the church. The Calvinists, they always have the curtains open, because you have to look what they're doing day and night. There's a work, this new work that I made with my feet and my legs, with all these eyes. Yes. It's all surrounded by portraits from Calvinists who are constantly looking to you.
Louvre has many visitors from many places of the world, on nations and on languages. Supposing that she or he doesn't know the history of that part of art history, I think that you lead the viewer to find secrets in the academical works and in your works. How did you do that? How did you find the idea what to bring out of the old works? I mean, bird, of course, is something that we see often in your work, the night birds, or the idea of bones, or the idea of inserts. But we also find in these pieces that I've seen that many years ago, these ideas behind some main portraits, or behind a table, or in the corner of something. Why did you bring it out so strong?
Because, I mean, a good example is, for example, the small painting from Jeremisch Bosch. The boat with the fools inside. It is, you know, it's, when you look to this painting, we all know of the books. You think the painting is like this. Yes. No, it's like this. And it's very contemporary. It's very avant-gardistic painting, because when you look to the Bosch painting, it puts the politicians and the religious figures in the boats. They become drunk from power. Next to this, from Italian collection, I took some drawings about the terrorists, about somebody who's addicted to smoking, London is in fire by terrorists. So I made this kind of combination that you will look to the Bosch in almost a very contemporary way, because this painting is very, in a sense, very political, social. It tells something about our contemporary life.
So we really read those big masters.
I try to give their, again, oxygen in a sense, because École du Nord, don't forget, it's a little bit like the stepdaughter from the Louvre, because everybody goes to Da Vinci and to the French and the Italians, and École du Nord, not so many people visit it for their standards, because it's still 10,000 people walk through it a day, but for them it's nothing. But still, I wanted to reinstall values and give these works their oxygen again, that you look in a contemporary way to these works. And luckily, because of fantastic masterpieces, with a lot of imagination and a lot of political power.
also can maybe make the result through this show that there is a kind of tradition, a very strong tradition through the centuries that comes until now. So that's why you say, I don't feel contemporary. You feel like a part that continues and continues until now. And at the end of the show, when we go to the graves, to this fantastic space with Rubens, weren't you afraid to work such a scale in that space?
No, I'm never afraid.
Really?
I like to take the risks. You want to film there?
Yeah.
Then I will come with you and I will explain.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah, explain you. I will come with you.
That's great.
Working here is a risk because you're confronted with the biggest masters. I mean, you have to become very humble. But in this case, it's also an Antwerp artist, Rubens, and here he was also a diplomat, he's a politician, and he was really doing his best to get a mission of the Medici family. The Medici family was one of the richest and powerful family in Europe, and he painted this Medici, and you look, it's fantastic paintings, it's glorifying power. He painted the Medicis between the gods in heaven and the goddesses, so he even glorified power even more. So my answer to this work was this installation, and it's the work calls a self-portrait as the biggest worm of the world. As an artist, you better can be a worm than a god. Why the worm? Because the worm is imagined. When you take the worm away from the earth gets bad. So it's also saying, in a sense, when you take the artist away from society, the society would kill itself. And so, in a sense, you get this colorful, magnificent, pompous world, above world. This is the down world. It's 40 ton of grave stones, Belgian granite, compressed, hard. The names engraved or the names of insects, and they correspond with artists, philosophers and writers. So my companions are not gods and goddesses, but are insects, artists, thinkers and writers.
So this is a kind of sacrifice, has to do with the artist's behavior in the society and the way he gives himself to the art.
Yes, and also of course not to become a kind of, not to work for the power and also to paint your ideology, because besides I respect Rubens, I think Rubens is a fantastic artist, but here for me he went as an artist on the wrong way, because he took the money from that ideology and he's making his ideology fantastically beautiful, understand? So it's in a sense saying, as an artist you can better choose for the underworld of the dead and be a worm, but to do the things you want to do and you have to do.
It's fantastic, you know, Jan, because we can see how you compose this installation with the kind of painting and also with the colors of painting. Here we have color and here we have not. Although there is a kind of dialogue between two of them. And I cannot understand, so many centuries after, how does it happen? I mean, it happens to be like it is natural, which is not. I think that you found the root of the meaning of the works. That's why.
No, but and also don't forget when you see the opening of the exhibition, one side is Jan Fabre, on the side is peinture.
Yes.
And I didn't take it away because a lot of my works essentially is based on peinture.
Yes, that's true.
Of the composition, the color, the form, the idea of the notion of that. Even when they're installations, it's peinture. I often use this kind of boxes for my work. They're all boxes from the Natural History Museum. And this is the box I made and designed for my performance with Marie-Laure, Virgin Warrior. This performance was about, in a sense, about defending beauty, believing in beauty, not destroying beauty. And this, in a sense, is a kind of the armor we wear, me, Marina. There's a head that designed is a kind of mantis I was wearing, and the rhinoceros insect. This was the skirt of Marina. It's my skirt.
Oh,
and
this is hers.
no, this is the skirt of Marina.
Yeah.
My skirt. This magnifying glasses was to see for the public the wounds, for example, we made in our skin, because I used our blood to write some texts of St. George, and also to write a text. It will take you a lifetime to become a young artist. And it's also, of course, a kind of almost a glass from Van Eyck, from the Arnolfini painting,
yes.
for the back.
So very well-known work.
Yes. And of course, combined with all the Rubenses in the Jordans, it's about, of course, the Rubens in the Jordans is this religious, spiritual paintings about the flesh, the fleshly bodies, and like the Christ over there. Also about sacrifice, very famous paintings of Rubens, the sacrifice.
The sacrifice up there and one there.
And also this performance was in a sense about the artist who sacrificed himself.
So this is the continue of the previous one, which is the last actually, but we go now this way. So we have these two areas, which is devoted to the idea of sacrificing yourself into arts. Is that right?
Yes, yes. It's about, in a sense, in believing that being as an artist and being busy with beauty is that you, maybe sometimes you're socially dead. Maybe sometimes you sacrifice yourself, because it's also important to take something over from other people. That's the reason I believe also in the model of Christ. Not in a Catholic sense, but the model of Christ is important in that sense that you out of a kind of wisdom and generosity take things over from other people.
These two installations, which is a kind of graves, you use this insect that we very often see in your work. We see it also here in Louvre. So the way that you installed also is very interesting. I mean, we have this kind of tables which is in front of
battlefields.
Yes, the battlefields. So, tell me something, Jan. Do you choose, of course, the works, the paintings that you install your work in front?
Yeah, of course.
So, tell us about these two.
Okay, so here there's Backhuizen is a quite important Dutch painter. Backhuizen, he painted he painted the loss of the big Dutch fleet. Because you know the Dutch were a very powerful nation on the water, and this painting represents a big loss of a battle. Oh. After they brought a lot of herbs from other countries, this table, this battlefield, is the topography from Waterloo, where Napoleon lost his battle in Belgium. This is, you know, humans, or the idea of warfare, the idea of splitting of space. Art and war has a lot to do with each other, because it's about splitting of space, conquering territory. We learned a lot from animals and watching to insects. Yeah. So this combination, I made this installation with this painting. This is topography, is human strategy. This is the topography of an instinct strategy in combination with fighting animals, organical, without a kind of, let's say, a plan of profit. So in this is, in the exhibition comes back also really the Salvator Mundi with the cross not as a Catholic thing, but the cross as a life tree. This calls the Greek victory.
I know this lady very well. I know her when she was small, I know her when she was young, and I know her now in the museum. Well, it's your turtle with the tomato, and the story you were telling us.
Yes, I tell you.
We know that very well. Okay. I cannot imagine that you couldn't bring her with you. So here we are. It's a nice installation. Very nice.
Favorite space, it's Vermeer, the Vermeer room. You have the two biggest masterpieces of Vermeer are placed here in this diagonal with this. Why? Because don't forget, the Dutch in that moment, they were mapping and conquering the world. They had the most colonies. They were really discovering the world. The astronomist from Vermeer, it's about this, about the power of the Dutch. And I also presented all the paintings about in that same area. It's all about their power and the glorification of the Dutch. I installed it in combination with the new planet. We're trying now, in earlier days the globe has a terra incognita. Now the brain is a terra incognita. Now we're trying to, in a sense, in anthropology, we're trying to split the brain to discover the brain, trying to map the brain. This is the planet we don't know. We're still trying to understand this planet.
Yes.
In combination with this, in diagonal, for me this is a very important painting from the Dutch tradition. The Calvinists, Calvinist painting, almost no images inside compared with the Flemish. It's all about images. Here's no image inside. And it's about what's represented here is, of course, the rich, the Dutch rich already presented. And I combined it with a brain drawing that becomes a house, a small fermet to go inside. And here the brain becomes a kind of almost a new church on top of a burning cross.
So here we have a space with the idea of inventing, of thinking, of learning things, of measuring things maybe. Now I remember your work about measuring the clouds, which is not so far from this. So yeah, here we are in these installations that we have seen before maybe, but okay, tell us about the idea of making that kind of composition with this insert.
So here you have, in a sense, here is three works. You've got the dead coffin, the beds, the working table, and the bath niche. Three places where you clean yourself, really kind of cleansing. Here, this is a bath, but at the same time it's a niche for a spiritual statue. That's why I combined it with the painter Lowe. He's really a fantastic painter from the Netherlands. And it's almost like this lady, this spiritual lady, turns herself away from the nakedness of the bath. At the same time, it's also a niche for a spiritual statue.
Well,
this is a working table bed. Here I combined all the professions. I brought all the paintings together for the professions.
well, one of the most beautiful works in the show. Huh?
Thank you. Thank you. This is also self-portrait as an artist. And the artist is catched in full flight. The beak of death closes itself. The artist as the peacock. The vanity, the proudness.
Yes.
And it's also the lost peacock in the exhibition. When you would go through the exhibition, you would find in a lot of classical paintings, peacocks are coming back. Combined with, I combined this with some drawings I showed also in Greece.
Yes,
The sperm drawings, and it's combined with a very small masterpiece of Slingerland. Slingerland is a very important Dutch painter, and it's a very rich family. And you see in the painting, they brought something exotic at home, the parrot. They're buying from the exotic world, the parrot, because they didn't know the unknown, they didn't know the exotic, because they were very stiff. The Dutch were very stiff and very rich, very conservative. And these are combined with the sperm in relationship with the parroting.
But look at this, it's amazing. And you installed in front of the couch, which is a landscape, and the landscape with the idea of the artist in the coffin is very interesting too, because this is open and this is closed.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
And do you know, Jan, it reminds me also your theatrical text about the parrot and the man who was carrying, and the dialogue they had, which was very close to the idea of who is the defender of the other, who is the master of the other, death or life, man or bird. And now going in the exhibition, I can bring in my mind all your texts and all your work. You know, things that I don't see now. But you know, all these things reminds me. Here is something I like very much.
It's an old work from 1978. No, I'm lying. 1981. Avant-garde. And I made it. There are two good galleries in Antwerp. You've got Zeno Wig's gallery and the Avant-garde gallery. I gave both names to the gallery. And the first exhibition in this gallery in Antwerp, the gallery was called Avant-garde, was this work. Why this work? Because it's a tooth of an elephant. And the elephant is an animal with the best memory in the animal world. It will not forget. When you do something wrong to an elephant, 10 years later it will still remember it. And I think being avant-garde, because to play over from avant-garde, is you have to be, you understand, you have to think, you don't have to forget.
Yes.
And at the same time you have to attack.
We will never forget this avant-garde. From now on.
Avant-garde.
Avant-garde.
Avant-garde. This took me almost 3 weeks to reinstall this space, because believe me, to move a Rembrandt, you don't do it like this. It's like so many people are involved. I took 2 paintings away, I removed that painting, I put that painting over there to have this diagonal, because this piece is based on not a Rembrandt, but on the Soutine. Soutine used this painting, and that shape from Soutine, I used to make this meat piece. And this meat piece is made with carnivore scarabaeus. So they eat all the meat up, and
Yes.
Only the emptiness stays.
When we have the shape in the inside.
Yes. Here's for me a new work, quite important work also. It's this piece. It's the art of this work, and this piece is my left foot. My left foot never sleeps.
Really?
Neurologically, I've got a problem neurologically, and there's something in my brain that makes these muscles never stop. They play day and night piano. So I made a work. It's a kind of offerande of the gods of Insomnia. They are all ex-votos. I made all these eyes manual. Every eye I made manual. It's with glass. Done. Why this work here? I reorganized all these paintings here. They're all rich Dutch family members. Because the Dutch, they're Calvinistic, I told you.
Yes.
They always keep the curtains open. They always want to see what you're doing, day and night. And that you see. You understand?
Yes,
the idea of the looking to you. Because the Flemish is much more of closing the curtains. The Flemish is much more to do with this, staying awake and doing the wrong things. This work calls the messengers of death decapitated. It's 7 owls. These owls, when you would walk through the exhibition, you would find back in a lot of paintings. For example, the white owl you would find back by the Bosch. Bosch always made an owl as a messenger of the cold. There's also saying the messenger of death is coming there. So all these owls, these are the messenger of wisdom, the messenger of distress, the messenger of cold. And they're on a white sheet from Bruges, Bruges lace for a church.
Very well known.
And I put it here in front of this quite famous Van Dyck painting. No, wait, let me go first back to the owl. It's decapitated. You know, the French, they're very good in decapitation. Guillotine, boom. And you have to imagine their heads, human heads underneath, because they are also eyes, protheses of human eyes underneath. So I decapitate the symbol, in a sense. Why in front of this? Because this painting is a quite important painting from Van Dyck, and it is, of course, he made this very powerful man almost very carnivalesque. He was challenging. He was a very powerful, rich man, and he, in purpose, made him quite carnivalesque, a little bit made him funny. So the idea of the carnival is inside of there, and at the same time, it's almost an announcement of a death picture.
Yeah.
Because when the picture was finished, the guy died almost afterwards.
It's the kind of melancholy that kings had, or kind of melancholy that mad people have. And we see also in the portraits in the way they look at.
Look, do this. Because I hang this here in relationship with this one, to have this...
Okay, I think that
I think
we have to go.
Huh?
Very happy to meet you.
Okay,
Thank you.